All right, so I have been gone for about a week, and since then there have been a lot of different news stories that have gone down. I wasn't really sure which ones I was going to talk about. I was originally planning on doing a video where I talked about a few things at once, so I might lightly touch on a couple, but one of the ones I was going to talk about was the Fantastic Adventures YouTube channel, where the mother was just arrested for forcing them to basically be YouTube stars, but like the extent of the stuff that she was doing. The whole video where I was starting to record that was just me calling her a cunt and all sorts of just personal insults, and just really dissolved outside the realm of any kind of logic because I was so enraged. But the general story around that is Michelle Hackney, spelled with an A, Michelle, so that we can all easily identify her cunt-like nature out there from, the regular Michelles out there. She did a number of horrible things, such as withholding bathroom access, food, and water. She beat them and pepper sprayed them, and it was so bad that when the police actually intervened and tried to offer them food, they didn't want to eat because they were scared that she would smell the food on their breath and beat them. This is a vile cunt. Now, and for everybody who says, well, see, that's real child abuse. You guys spent all your time complaining about these other channels that are, that's barely anything in comparison. It's both child abuse. There's not like a ladder that you have to like surpass before something's considered child abuse. There's just levels of child abuse. It's all terrible. It all deserves to be called out. If you guys want a more thorough video about this situation in specific, let me know. I will gladly try to rein myself in a little bit more to talk about this absolutely vile, disgusting excuse of a human being. Just disgusting. Absolutely vile. But one of the other main stories, which is also super screwed up, but like a little bit more light in nature to at least talk about, mainly because of the things surrounding the situation and his response to it, is the Romeo Lacoste allegations. The guy that was involved in this great social experiment, and about him basically DMing underage girls back in 2016, and presumably could have still been doing it, but very specifically the screenshots that we have seen were from 2016. Now, before anybody tries to say, well, there's no real proof that they were underage in this, except, for the facts that the girls coming forward are saying this is how old I am now, here's the proof, and this is how old I was in 2016. This was in, October of 2016, almost exactly 3 years ago now. So it's not like this is so long ago that it's hard to prove. But one of the other messages that popped up that he has not denied, and I'll put that out there, and he even said that it was real, is him saying, you're not down to do it sooner, ? Or you want to wait till you're 18. And his excuse for that was basically like, well, she was almost 18.
So that, I'm not gonna deny that was real, but here's the here's the big loop about it. Here's the big sort of like, fabrication, smoke and mirrors or whatever that everyone's not getting to see, is that, so, I'm over here just minding my own business, girls are throwing themselves at me. Some of these girls, the one in particular that we're referring to, told me that she was almost 18 years old, which I understand is not, that does not make the situation much better.
California, the age of consent is 18, so it's illegal where he is. It's also super screwed up because he was about 26 at the time, maybe 27, I believe. He was born in 1989. He'd just turned 30. So yeah, he was 27, 28 at the time of these messages. What does a 27, 28-year-old want to do with somebody who's 17, and then the other one's saying that they were 14, 15, 16. Anyways, so the specific tweets that kind of came forward that got him in hot water originally was they're clearly having some kind of sexual conversation, and she says, don't worry, I'm not too shy about it. And then he's like, then tell me how you try and be slutty. And then she's like, I'm better at showing than telling. And now this is where a lot of weird people are like, well, she's baiting him on. It's she's underage talking to somebody who she thinks is hot. Just as a heads up, this whole thing was literally he got in contact with these people that he's messaging because it was a Romeo Lacoste fan club. And then instead of just being okay, that's my fan club of a bunch of underage girls, he actually started talking to some of them. You, as the adult, have the responsibility not to engage with people that are trying to be sexual with you if they're underage. And then in addition to the fact that they're underage and, that's illegal, add in the power dynamic and that he can use that to hold over them and manipulate them. This is where things get really weird. And this is the kind of stuff that even if you said this to consenting. I'm not trying to kink shame him, but this stuff is weird. I'm sure you can and will one day, but I like hearing. See, if it was me, I'd probably get you a little drunk first. I'd have one ready for you as soon as you got here. And that's hot. I love that. Love my balls massaged and sucked on. Love my asshole licked. And my fave's deep throat. Drunk girls always deep throat further. He doesn't even sound like this. It's like, yup, I'd have a shot waiting for you when you got here. That's because it's always good to have shots waiting for underage girls. It's always good. You can even chase my cum down with another shot. Or I'm freaky. I can even come in your shot and let you drink both together. I do freaky stuff. Take another shot and then go for round 2. By the time you leave, you'll have a tummy full of cum and alcohol. Bet you get super slutty when you're drunk. Student underage girl! There's also some other ones of him like sending pictures of himself like topless to underage girls, a picture of him like holding his bulge saying don't show it to anyone, asking girls how they like taking dick, like all sorts of really messed up stuff for the fact that they're all underage. So all this stuff is super messed up anyways. At this point, most people are like, I feel like there's enough out there that we can condemn this. He didn't try to defend himself. He didn't try to say, hey, that's fake. Hey, those girls were all overage. Hey, none of this is real. He deletes his Twitter. Because that's what innocent people do. They delete their Twitter. Because, conveniently, you know what happens when you delete Twitter? You can't message people. And the people that you've messaged before can't see the conversation history that you've had in the past, which is where most of these things were getting pulled from. So that's why a lot of people who said, hey, I also have stuff from Romeo Lacoste, but I can't access it right now because he's deleted his Twitter. So Keemstar even asked, like, hey, are you going to reactivate your Twitter so that you can show your side of the conversation? Because one of the big things he kept trying to say was that the conversations were photoshopped. He didn't try to say that anything was added in. He tried to say that things were rearranged to make him look worse.
But they're rearranging the conversation to make it look like I was sort of like reaching out to these underage girls, which in actuality, these girls came on to me first.
Yeah, they're fangirls. They're young fangirls that love you and love your stuff and think you're hot and, want to do you. They're fangirls.
Yeah, of course. They messaged you first, Romeo. It's your fan club. It's like, are you... That doesn't change anything. You're the adult. You don't have to answer. You're supposed to know better than to respond to people that are underage. It doesn't matter if they come at you all sexual. You're supposed to be like, yo there, young lady. You're underage. Or, I don't know, block them. And the fact that he kept trying to fall back on that and the fact that they just kept going to him first and just like throwing themselves at him as if that was like a valid excuse for the behavior makes me really wonder what's going on in his head? But anyways, more defense things. The dude's got a bunch of really kind of narcissistic behavior with what's going on here. He doesn't want to take any kind of guilt. Anytime Keemstar tries to directly ask a question, did you say these things to underage girls? He just kind of throws in the...
So here's one of the big loopholes is...
And then spins it another way, trying to make himself the victim. One of the best things I thought he tried to do was to try to spin it that people were saying that he was gay because all these gay people are into him now, which I haven't even really seen. But if they did, again, that's not a valid anything. People are being like, oh, all these gay guys are coming at me now because of the stuff I'm into. I'm very proud of my sexualness.
Everyone's got a sexual side, I'm not ashamed for some of the sexual things that I'm into and the things that I said in the videos, in the comments.
Right.
My problem is it's all good and fun for people to make fun of and say, oh, you might be part gay and this and that. And that wasn't really the problem. The problem is I had a personal conversation with someone who I was under the impression was literally close to being 18.
That's not the question, man. Nobody's talking about the things that you're into. They're talking about the fact that you're into it with underage girls. That's the issue, you fuckwad. You gotta be real ballsy to try to turn allegations of sexual harassment and sexual conduct against minors towards you being kink shamed. That is a ballsy move, sir, and I am baffled.
But this is why I feel like somewhat of a victim and somewhat they trap, these kids come on here trying to trap celebrities because they didn't tell me that. They told me 17, but then they're gonna cut off that comment that DM that said.
So they told you 17. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You still told a 17-year-old that, you know, all this crazy shit.
And I just like to say that a lot of these messages have been proven to be from him. Like, people have literally like gone into the messages, then gone back, shown that it is his verified Twitter account. It's his verified account. They've refreshed to show that it's from him, and then they've gone back to the messages. So it's like they actually went out of their way to really show that these weren't like fabricated messages, that they didn't go out of their way to screenshot them and change them or manipulate them in any way. They've actually done like quite a good job with it. So a lot of the information was from an account called Yellow Chair. And, you know, Yellow Chair said that she was 15 at the time, and one of the other girls she got some of the screenshots from was 14 at the time. And then, you know, one of the other great defenses he tried using was the fact that he had such a great reputation as a tattoo artist, and he had tattooed all sorts of different celebrities and YouTubers, and that he'd conducted himself with nothing but respect with his female clientele over the years. As if that proves anything on what you do in your private life. Like, there's tons of people, like, that's kind of like a predatory thing. Like, not all predators just walk around being like, bleh! They'd all get arrested a lot faster than they tend to, and like, issues of systemic abuse and harassment wouldn't be a thing. So you trying to like flex your professional career doesn't actually mean anything. Look at all the different celebrities, musicians, all sorts of people who have been like accused of doing things like years after the fact, and then people come back being like, here's a pattern of it happening, and no one wanted to come forward. Because at 14, 15, you don't always realize that what's going on is messed up. And then it's once you get older, you're like, holy shit, why was this like 27-year-old talking to me this way on the internet? That's super messed up. And then you come forward. You know, people that are young don't necessarily have the mental ability to realize when something super messed up is happening to them, and that is a sad reality of life. So you can't really, it's this like ridiculous. So he does this like 36-minute long Keemstar interview, which is just a mess of BS. So if you actually want to take the time to listen to it, it really does just run around in circles. And I don't always agree with Keemstar, but this is one of the times that I'm like, he actually did a good job. He was calling him out on bullshit left and right. He was like trying to rush him along. At the end, he was flat out like, you know, I'm cutting you off. We're just going in circles. You're not actually answering the question. This was your chance to try to own up to it, and nothing you're saying is making any sense. You literally just buried yourself into the hole. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for this here Romeo Lacoste video. I am sure that more stuff might pop up in the future. I'm sure people are gonna continue to come forward. But like I said, unfortunately, he has deactivated his Twitter, which means that a lot of the people involved have not been able to actually come forward with their stories because they don't have access to those DMs anymore. And he's said he's not going to reactivate his Twitter. I wonder why. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comment section down below. Are there any other stories that I missed while I was away that you guys want me to talk about? I know I saw Shazam and some people want a review. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I might. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all later.